I'll sure have more insights on the fixed income trading later on the show. The Central Bank of Nigeria at the beginning of this week re-emphasized its determination to clamp down on companies caught smuggling into the country any goods for which access to foreign exchange has been restricted, by announcing that the bank accounts of such firms will be closed. Now, the issue of the 41 items prohibited from accessing the FX market has been greeted with mixed reactions since the policy came to be since 2015. However, the central bank insists and believes it's a way to ensure that Nigerian manufacturers and producers begin to look inwards for their raw materials rather than depend on importation. I'm being joined by the chairman, expert group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Bamidele Ayemibo, to look at this. Thank you for joining us on the show, Mr.
Thank
Bamidele.
you, former chairman, actually. I handed over recently.
Okay, you handed. Oh, congratulations on your successful conclusion of your tenure, former chairman. All right. So, what is the position of the LCCI? You're just handing over now, so I believe you still. You could still speak on that capacity. What's your position, the position of the LCCI in what central bank is doing in terms of clamping down on what it or the people they call smugglers of some of these goods restricted from accessing the FX market?
Okay, let's put this in perspective. This item, restricted from accessing foreign exchange from CBN.
Yes.
They actually can still access forex through other channels.
Yes.
Only that they will need CBN approval of the Form M for that to happen. So it's not that it's entirely banned, as a lot of people tend to tout it. Only that you can access forex from CBN, you can access forex from other channels.
I remember that when the central bank came up with this policy, the central bank governor, Godwin Emefiele, made it clear that it's not like those items
were banned.
Okay, but it's just that they wouldn't have access from the CBN, the official market. They can source their foreign exchange from anywhere. So where is this smuggling thing?
That's where I'm going. So what is happening is, for you to import in Nigeria, you need to fill a Form M. And that Form M, if it's for this restricted item, CBN will have to approve. So, and a lot of people have complained about the fact that CBN delayed the approval. I think just a strategy to ensure most of those things are not coming into the country. And CBN, since CBN does not have the power to prevent those items from being imported, that's supposed to come from Ministry of Finance with Custom. That's why they're using their own power in terms of Forex. But they're finding out that people are bringing that stuff into Nigeria. And they're bringing it into Nigeria because there are a lot of issues around that. One of the issues is that a number of these items, some of them are actually as raw materials for some manufacturing firm. But more importantly is that if smuggling is coming to Nigeria, that means there is a gap. If we say we want to restrict the inflow because we can produce it, and now people are able to bring it in, that means there's a gap. That means there's a gap.
Where are we seeing that gap? Is it from the agencies, perhaps?
No, I mean a gap in terms of demand.
Okay.
We are not able to meet the demand. That's why some people can bring it in. Or, like the case of rice, we are not able to meet up with the price. So people are importing, and the price of import is cheaper than the local. Not to exonerate those that's bringing it in. I don't know how channel where they used to bring it in, but the fact is that are we really meeting the local demand for this product? If we're not meeting local demand for this product, then we need to step up production and support the people to be able to become competitive. Now, another very interesting issue I think we should mention on this is, at every program I've had to attend on this issue, CBN has been informed or advised to provide the HS code. HS code is the harmonized system of code for this product. So when you say palm oil have very different variants, and each of them have an HS code. Now, some of the HS code are actually allowed to be brought in because they are supposed to be raw materials from factories, big factories in Nigeria. That's why some people will tell you today that palm oil is still being imported, even though palm oil is on that list. So I think CBN, before it started to clamp down, should also make those HS codes available. As a matter of fact, it's been advised to CBN that the platform through which people process this for me, that's the trade portal platform, can't you put the HS code on that platform and restrict it so that when a bank is processing or a bank is approving and that HS code is imputed, it will prevent it from even processing in the first place. So that way we can even be sure that
would be able to specify exactly that what is prohibited and what is allowed.
And then if indeed there was smuggling, And if indeed there was smuggling. So I think CBN should do what he has to do before they clamp down on the business people in the country.
Now, you talked about the gap, perhaps we're not producing enough and all that. So what do you think, why do you think we are unable to meet up with some of this demand, irrespective of some of the government policies, some policies government have put in place to ensure that we produce locally here?
Now, two things, price and demand and supply gap. So price, infrastructural deficit is a major reason why our cost of production is very high. So farming the product, producing the product, processing the product and getting to the market, a lot of challenge there. Let me give an example for corn. Some time ago, a company imported corn into the country and they claimed this corn landed at 40,000 per metric ton. At that time, local corn price was 110,000 per metric ton. And the company is arguing that, look, if I increase my cost, if I'm going to sell this product at the higher price, I'm not going to get people to buy. People that import probably take it out for me. So they decided to import corn. Why are they able to import corn from India at 40,000 and locally is 110,000? Mainly because of our infrastructural deficit, cost of production. Maybe our yield per hectare also is very low. Maybe we have to improve on our varieties that we're using so that we can increase our yield per hectare. And then government might, like some developed countries do, subsidize these people so that they can be producing at a price that will be cheaper than the one imported. So that at the end of the day, it becomes easier to discourage importation. But as long as the local one is more expensive than the one being imported, then of course we are going to see this.
Now, talking about subsidizing, is that the only incentive perhaps government should offer to local producers to ensure
cheap loan, grant or cheap loan that's single digit, and then building infrastructure to reduce their costs. And also, I don't know how much of our silos are working. I know we built a lot, and they've probably given some private people to manage, so that we also have enough to be able to store, so that when the season of this stuff are over, then we can use it. And come to think of it, why should we even have season in Nigeria? Why some countries that don't even have rain are able to plant? So we have rain, and then when there's no rain, we're not planting. I think we also do a lot on irrigation, so that at the end of the day, we can plant a couple of products year-round. So at the end of the day, we have a steady supply of the product, and then we don't have a shortage of supply. Of course, we drive up the price.
No, but we've had central bank support agriculture, for instance. Would you say that in its NASL program, would you say that has...
NASL is doing a lot, but Nigeria is very big, and the impact are not so very prominent here. That's why we're still having this issue. These people have been supported. No doubt a lot of factories have been built because of this policy of CBN. No doubt a lot of things have happened because of this policy, no doubt. But the fact that there is still people are still able to smuggle. Now, on one hand, I think the border agents also have to do a lot to be able to prevent that from happening. These people are very desperate. If I'm talking about the real smuggling now, but I'm not sure it's the kind of smuggling we are looking at. And I'm not saying that does not happen. That's the one that they actually bring through the bush path and the like. But some people are bringing this stuff in, and they are using descriptions, HS codes, through the same channel. So I think CBN should do this. This has been an issue.
So that brings to question perhaps the agencies that manage some of these things. Would you say they are handicapped?
For the one being brought through the border, I want to say they are handicapped. They've complained about it. They've made a lot of effort, but it's still happening. If it's still happening, that means it's either they're not doing their job or they're overwhelmed. I don't know, this is their job overwhelmed. That's why they're not able to do it. But like I said, the smuggling, I know rice, we've heard about rice being smuggled, because when the minister said our rice production has increased and import has reduced, but reports from outside the country show.
Yes, shows that Nigeria is still...
that the rice importation into Benin increased, almost double. And Benin population has not doubled. So obviously those rice are going somewhere. And of course they are finding their way into Nigeria.
Well, Nigeria, the report I read this morning still maintains that Nigeria is still the highest importer of rice.
Yeah.
Anyway, now this FX restriction policy came to light, that was since 2015.
Yeah.
4 years down the line. Would you say it has been more of good, for the economy than bad?
I think it has done more harm than good. More good than harm, rather. Okay. More good, in the sense that, sincerely, a lot of companies have actually come here to invest. I understand some people are now producing toothpick with bamboo, and some of them are even coming back that were giving grants. So a lot of initiative came up because of it. So no doubt, I think strongly, CBN policy on 42 items, for me, is good enough. In fact, increasing it was necessary, because when they increase an anti-fertilizer, A year before, Notori Chemical, a fertilizer producing company in Nigeria, incurred losses, and we're importing fertilizer. So I think it's a good policy. But I just think that we need to support these people to be able to increase their production, and more importantly, if necessary, subsidize them to be able to ensure the price they are selling is actually cheaper than the one being imported.
All right, we're talking about, ensuring local production, encouraging local production, and of course, when we encourage local production, perhaps we would now encourage more exports.
Yes.
Now, you are in the export business.
Yes.
How far, from your perspective, do you think this CBN forex restriction policy can actually help domestic exports?
CBN policy was done to restrict the usage of foreign exchange because we're not doing enough exports. So it's like, I need to earn money, I'm not making enough. So I reduce my spending to be able to have more savings. That's what this policy has done. And all around helping to shore up the foreign reserve. Now, we need now to increase policy towards supporting export. Now, CBN came up with the policy of $500 billion naira to be able to support export stimulation fund. I'm not sure many people have had access to that. A different program also, CBN have been querying and asked questions. I know some people have had access to it, but it doesn't seem as if we have enough access to that, number one. Number two, I think CBN also should, not just CBN now, I think the government should do more in terms of some non-oil exports. For example, what are the major exports in Nigeria? Cocoa, agric export, cocoa, ginger, gum arabic, sesame seed, cashew. I check up major agric exports in Nigeria. The total market size is about $20 billion. If you go and check for soybean is about $58 billion. So the question I'm asking myself is, which one should we be spending our effort on? Should we not, while we are not neglecting this one we've always been doing, can we begin to consider other ones that we have potential to produce, but we're not doing enough? And the fact that US and China have an issue create opportunity for us to sell to China. So I think we should begin to look at other products. There's some other product in Nigeria, corn, $30 billion. Now, that means corn alone is much more than all the product we're exporting. Cocoa is just about $9.35 billion. So cocoa is lower, all other ones are lower, but the ones that are really much are not doing much about it. So I think because the whole idea of growing export is to increase foreign reserve, CBN, there was a program in December, a bankers committee was on that panel, and CBN governor was particular about increasing export proceeds to be more than foreign portfolio investment and foreign direct investment. That was the objective. And they're doing a lot in that wise now. But I think we should include other products that have more market, so that indeed we'll be able to achieve our objective of generating more foreign.
What about the value chains in the production and, of course, the export process?
That comes back to export, because I am also of the opinion that we should not just export raw material, we should do value addition. Cocoa export is 9.35 billion. Chocolate is over 25 billion. Chocolate. And West Africa supplies 75% of cocoa in the world. But the major exporter of cocoa are Europeans. So value additions, value chain enhancement become necessary for us, because at the end of the day, it's like we are farmer of the world. We should be factory of the world like China, not be farmer of the world.
All right, President Muhammadu Buhari has another 4 years chance to turn this economy around. What, from your perspective, going forward, should he actually, deal with in terms of ensuring local production and, of course, boosting our exports?
One, we need NNPC for some critical products in Nigeria. You know what I mean by NNPC? NNPC for oil, right? We need that kind of organization for the like of soybeans, for the like of corn, for the like of products that have high value in the world. So we need a board to drive the production, the seedling, the production, the financing, the processing, and the export of this product, number one. Number two, I don't think we need a lot of processing company. We need big, few lab processing company that, if I'm doing cassava, I want to do cassava chips, I can take my cassava there, raw, and they will process for me and charge me. And I pay them, and they also package for me. So I pay them per chips, I get my product, and then I can sell locally or export. So at the end of the day, these are what is happening abroad, that I don't need to worry about my packaging. I don't need to worry about my processing. Let the big company worry about it. I just book them, bring in my product. I bring my product in. The product is processed and eventually exported. So at the end of the day, all I need is to have my source, get the product into those factories. They will process for me. So for every package that comes out of the factory, they're charging me for it. So I already know my cost, and then I begin to export. And I think this will help a lot of young people, especially core members and the like, considering the fact that we need a lot of job creation in Nigeria.
All right, let's just hope we get it right
this
time. Thank you for your time.
All right.
Well, Bamidele Ayemibo is a former chairman, export group of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We'll take a break now, and when we come back, we will look at the Nigerian banking sector as Moody's keeps its outlook on the sector stable.